I-V-M.
In continuation to our discussion with regards to the third gender and the possible difficulties faced by them, today we have another caller with us discussing their personal experiences and what problems they faced socially, legally and mentally while identifying themselves as a third gender.
Hello.
Hi, welcome to Know Your Kanoon.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm very good. How are you?
All good, all fine. So today we have Anjali Lama with us. And earlier you had written into us on an email as to your situation and everything. And we were discussing, how the third gender is currently today in our country and what is the situation and what are some of the challenges you face, on your daily basis in the life, whether it is your personal life, social circle, friends, and then coming on to the legality towards the end of it. So maybe if you could discuss some instances and, Anjali is with us. So maybe the correlation between the two could be really nice and, we could really bring out the problems which are being faced by the third gender.
So, I'm sure we're part of the society and we know how we treat the third gender, be it transgender or a gay or, any person. We mock them and we don't take them we don't invite them to certain occasions because we think that it's going to demean your respect or image. I've had the same kind of experience in the past.
Yeah.
While I was growing up, I realized that there was something, people used to say that I am different.
Okay.
And I started to believe in them. I started to believe that I was apparently different. And that time was traumatizing.
So let me just butt you in here and ask you, you yourself consciously were aware, right, of what your feelings are towards yourself or how do you identify yourself? It was most of a social pressure which was making you switch your total ideology altogether.
Well, somewhere down the line, I knew that I was not the person I look to people, when they look at me, they think of someone else. But I knew inside my heart, I wanted to be someone who was, it's difficult, but I wanted to be a woman. I used to feel like that, and I never felt like a man in my life.
I think that's what the law is about. It's supposed to give you that comfort,
identity.
It's supposed. Yeah, of course. It's just they've said it's more of a psychological thing rather than being physically there, being
that's
there.
Right.
Yeah. So coming on those lines only, like some instances you're sharing from your childhood. If you could just throw some light on it furthermore, what it was and how it was challenging for you to come out of the closet.
I remember when I was in school, people would call me by different names, and I don't want to even talk about it. I'm sure we're all aware of it.
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah, so they used to mock me. They used to make fun of me because I wouldn't look like the gender I was in. I was a boy, and I wouldn't talk like a boy. I wouldn't walk like a boy. I wouldn't behave like a boy. And they would make fun of it. And I failed to understand why is it happening to me, while every other boy, every other girl is respected. And that happened exactly with my family too. My father had a lot of embarrassment for me. He wouldn't take me to weddings. My mother would fight and would ask, let's just, take the child along. And my father would actually feel bad and say that, his friends make fun of him because of me. So I had very bad childhood when you talk about it because I was never invited to social events and stuff like that, yeah.
So similarly, Anjali, आपसे भी यही बात हो रहा था and we were sharing the same situation with you as you were growing up. तो आप correlation देख सकते हैं कि it is not only based on, maybe your education is not the boundary which defines it. It's more about, culturally we are so oriented in such a way that you would have to go through something such menial and so meaningful that it really impacts your psychology today. And mostly, now I'll come to the second leg of it, approaching the mental health institutions, which our society looks at. When you say that my gender is, not something I identify with as male or female, people start questioning you that psychologically, are you okay? Right? That is one of the questions that you face every now and then, no matter what state of society you are in. Was there a challenge which you faced? Was there some counseling? Was there somebody where you could emotionally have a chat? Because I know it's a deterrent to all of us as human beings, being emotionally not able to express And did you feel anything in terms of legal issues, where you might have faced, whether it was the hospitals or your education institution, as you were mentioning, or maybe with the law, somewhere where you faced such situations? If you could just talk about them also and, just probably throw some light on that.
I find it funny now because I'm mature and I have understood and I accepted myself the way I am. So, but back then, it was a school trip and we were flying. I had long hair and very girly features.
Yeah.
I don't remember getting, body hair. I mean, I don't really remember if I had some. So we were traveling, and at the time of check-in, when you actually check in into the airport and security baggage, this man refused to, frisk me because he thought I'm a girl. And that was a huge embarrassment. And then he said, "No, you go there." I said, "No, I am a man. Right now, I am a man. I'm dressed like a man." He said, no, I don't know. I don't want to touch you. So he did not touch me because I didn't look like a man. He didn't frisk me because he thought I was transgender. So that's the first incident I remember. Now also, when you talk about, I am educated. I've done my graduation in English literature. And I've also done my, post-graduation in economics.
Yeah.
So I am one educated person.
Yeah.
Even now, my school, my board, and government of India has not done anything to help me prove my education. I'm still the same person on my certificates.
So that's, this is what we were also discussing with Anjali, that, in terms of her documentation, and it's a similar challenge, though she's from a different country, but she's facing the same challenge, that when she comes here, there is no way the passport gets changed with the category she would want or with the gender on that, and facing the similar situation. So it's more of a social issue, I think, in terms of how the mindset is bent, even of the government. Even trying to help you out in there. And one of the practical challenges which Anjali also faced, I'll bring it out to you, it was that she was not getting anything on rent in terms of premises. Did you also go through something like that? What was your different experience or your own experience maybe, when, let's say now you're saying that you're much more confident about yourself, you know about yourself much better. How was that for you coming, from such a prominent background and then coming into this situation?
Yeah, I think it's similar for everybody. I mean, if you make 10 transgenders stand in a row, I think they'll all have the same story at the end. When I moved out from my town, I'm from a hilly town, okay? So it's a very, very small town of very less people. People would know each other. So when I came to Delhi for the first time, I did not have any trouble because I was living with my relatives. But then while I was, while I understood my sexuality and I wanted to change myself, I happened to meet a couple of people from the same community. And they would look like girls and I wouldn't because I was still growing. I was understanding myself. And I know this embarrassment. They had to kind of vacate a house because they thought, as in the landlord thought, that they probably got someone who's a transgender. Okay. And I was. But again, since I did not look like girls, how they would look like, they had to vacate the house because of me. So I think it's everywhere. And I'm talking about good, 10, 11 years. And even now, people aren't ready to, give houses.
Yeah. And in terms of, what our conversation was onto your query, which I had with you, personally, and I was telling you about how to get your documents sorted. Apart from that, any legal, issues, let's say, because I see a lot of us run into problems with cops, especially the community, and for no rhyme and reason. And that is one of the reasons they just try to pick on you, thinking that they're the weaker sections without the protection of law. So let's just pick onto them. Have you been subjugated to that? Because that is one of the humiliating factors for any human being, which tries to destroy their inner self-esteem and tries to bring that problem. Because, through these instances, Anjali told me one instance where they were asked to get out of the auto. Similarly, any situation where you, not maybe so severe, but any instance where you felt, justice was not meted out to you on that level also. If you could just bring that also out for us.
See, I was always been the law-abiding citizen.
I'm sure.
I've never been someone who would go against the cops. But then, because I know my friends I've lived in Delhi for 15 years, so I've seen, Delhi 15 years back also, and I have not had it. But then I was part of the group. Right. So we were going to Sarojini Nagar Market, and I live in Safdarjung Enclave by then. Right. And because we were crazy, we were singing songs, and at the signal, police came and they realized that we were not the regular kinds. And then, of course, they question, what are we doing? Why are we singing? Where are we going? Why are we so many people in an auto? It was unnecessary. We have the right to, celebrate if we meet. Kind of when you meet your friends reunion, you have the right to celebrate.
Yes.
And we didn't do anything offensive to the society.
Yes.
But yes, they did stop us and ask us numerous questions for no good reason, no rhyme and reason. And yes, so that has happened. And I remember one incident in GK happening.
Okay.
So I started changing myself and I was dressed as a woman, and this auto stops and he asks me, why are you so late? What are you doing with these many people in the auto? I said, we are friends and we're coming from the party. Rather, we all were, telling the car that we are friends, and then they again stopped us unnecessarily. Who is who? We want to talk to your parents. Because why are you alone? And then when they learned that we were transgenders, he made that weird face as if he didn't want it to talk. So he was concerned till the time he did not know we were transgenders. He was concerned about our security. I'm talking about the cop. But the moment he learned that we were transgenders, his expression changed and, as if he was not bothered.
Yeah, I think, that's where I was even trying to cover in my previous episodes, and I'll subsequently also cover it based on these issues. Since the awareness of the laws, and our coding system, and I earlier spoke on the show about the issue that, transgenders were an inherent part of our community ever since early ages. It's not something new. We're not averse to it. It's only the British who, with their, maybe Catholic mindset at that point of time, enacted laws to keep segregation in the society. But have you ever been educated about your rights in terms of your law, or you yourself have been the the source of all this knowledge, and maybe how you gained about it and what you got your document identity changed in a lot of places? I mean, as we discussed, minus one or two places what you're fighting for. But apart from that, while doing so, you had some support from the people, or it was you the Lone Ranger kind of a situation where you went out and did everything on your own?
Amber, आप एक लॉयर हो और आपको सोसाइटी के बारे में, इश्यूज के बारे में आई एम श्योर ज्यादा पता है. तो आपको मुझे सवाल पूछना ही नहीं चाहिए, बिकॉज दिस क्वेश्चन is very important question, but people won't ask it. Who supports? I mean, the moment you go to a lawyer, he's worried because, he thinks if we take up this case, it will sabotage his image.
Absolutely.
Lawyers नहीं आना चाहते हैं आगे आपको support करने के लिए, unless आप किसी NGO का हिस्सा हो. Because then it's a very big entity to support the lawyer also. But lawyers would not take up a case like this. मैंने बहुत lawyers को, contact करने की कोशिश की कि I want to get this thing changed, I want to know my rights. Nobody talks about it. आप मेरी बात कर रहे हो, एक normal woman को भी नहीं पता होगा कि उसके rights क्या हैं, because हम लोग बताते ही नहीं हैं. Government बताती ही नहीं है कि हमारे अधिकार क्या हैं. क्योंकि जितना ज्यादा हमें पता चलेगा, Indians are very intelligent people. हम बहुत समझदार हैं.
Absolutely.
जब हमें अपने राइट्स का पता चलता है, अपने अधिकारों का पता चलता है ना, तो we know what to do, but nobody talks about it. It's the same with me and with all the transgenders. No one talks about it. No one want to talk about it. And rights की तो बात बहुत दूर की है. अगर हमें अपने जीने का ही अधिकार मिल जाता अभी एक महीने पहले तक, तो that was like a gift, Now we know that this is our right to live, क्योंकि आज से पहले नहीं था. People have actually come up and talked about it.
Absolutely.
But no one talks about it. And you're doing a great job.
No, thank you so much. But indeed, I was trying to ask you this question on this reason only because, since I took it up when you wrote into me, and I really wanted people to know, because see, there are over 2 million transgenders in our country.
Right.
And 90%, and I've previously elucidated that they are below poverty line and nobody cares about them, and there are certain limited foundations who are trying to fight it out. And I also told you about, the documentation process and so far, so on. But the inherent right of constitutionally recognizing yourself as an individual under Article 14 to Article 16 of our Constitution, if that we cannot guarantee, then what are we looking at? And, the basic movement for this whole situation after the Nalsa judgment which came out, was definitely a very advantageous move to us, but it got stalled again. You see, there are guidelines given to the state. There are guidelines given to various state authorities, whether it is education or otherwise, to make laws. And certain states have done that, like Kerala is there and Maharashtra is there, and Delhi government in a limited way has done that. But how proactive is the public? I mean, you yourself and I myself are, both witnesses to the same. Because when the first time I read into your query, what I got to know legally was that there is nobody who's looking after these situations. And how does somebody help themselves? You cannot just go to the court and be there unless there is somebody to hold your hand. So these are some of the legal fallacies which I'll definitely take up in the next episode, which we cover up. And, thank you so much for being there and expressing and telling us what you faced. And I think we'll definitely try to help you out with your query. And I have definitely going to, ensure that in some way or the other, we are definitely of a help to you. Thank you so much for being with us on this.
Thank you so much, Amber. Thank you so much. And I'm glad you're taking up this as an issue and, as an awareness also, because I may have learned few things in life, but there are a lot of people who are actually not aware of what they have to do. So I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot for your voice. That's what we wanted from you, because there are people like you. There has been, I'll tell you something very interesting before we close down on it. There was once an issue which meant, and it came out to be that, this problem only belongs to the uneducated lot. All right. This was the mindset which came out to be. And we were rebutting it again and again, at least me and my counterparts, that, this is not related to your socio-economic status. This is more about how the bent of society is. Each of us are human beings. We have a psychological orientation. Nobody should decide for us. And education, literacy would mean something, but being educated would also mean that our constitutional rights are there. So on that note, thank you so much for being with us. I'll definitely try to answer your query again and, maybe solve it out, and we'll be in touch. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amber.
So this was our caller on the show, and Anjali was there. So Anjali, your final comments on the situation, because I also discussed this with somebody who's from a different background and from India itself. What do you think? आपका क्या सोचना है? क्या आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे? जैसे उन्होंने बताया कि अवेयरनेस का प्रॉब्लम बहुत ज्यादा है. आप इस तरीके से एक सोर्स ऑफ लाइट क्या सोचेंगे कि कैसे लोग इससे अफेक्ट हों, या कैसे उनके पर्सनल लाइफ में व्यक्तिगत रूप से उन्हें लगे कि हाँ, उन्हें ये करना चाहिए अपने आप को सेफ गार्ड करने के लिए?
आई थिंक मैं तो सबसे पहले यही कहना चाहूँगी कि जितने भी हम ट्रांसजेंडर लोग हैं, अब हमारा प्रॉब्लम लेके हमको ही बाहर आना होगा. जब तक हम सोसाइटी में या लोगों के सामने हमारा प्रॉब्लम्स एक्सप्रेस नहीं करेंगे, तब तक लोगों को समझ में नहीं आएगा कि हमें खुद को बोलना होगा कि हम क्या है, हम क्या चाहते हैं. जब तक हम लोग खुद नहीं बताते तो लोग कोई भी आके नहीं बोलेगा कि तुम क्या चाहते हो, तुम लोग क्या चाहते, कैसे हो, क्या हो. Nobody will ask. We have to come out first.
Thank you, Anjali. Thank you for your comments, and thank you for being here. And I think I totally agree with you. Awareness is the reason why we do Know Your Kanoon, and we want it to be out there for people to understand.
I think these things are like, कि ये जितनी भी हम आज जो बात कर रहे हैं जो ट्रांसजेंडर के इश्यू के बारे में, I think this issues should be in books, like school levels also, education में. जो बच्चों से समझ में आते हैं तो we don't have to tell again and again. We don't have to awareness program. So जो स्कूल में से ये पता चलता है तो बुक में शामिल हो जाता है, तो अंडरस्टैंडिंग में थोड़ा इजी हो जाता है कि बचपन से लोगों को पहचान जब उसके बारे में नॉलेज होता था, it will be easy.
I think ये बहुत valid point है आपका, and it's a very strong point that since it is accepted now, we need to put it in the books, because we need to be culturally aware since our inception during the earlier days of our life. And I think it's a positive move, and we'll definitely keep working towards addressing more problems. And in our next episode, we'll take up these issues in a legal way, discussing each one in a separate bracket and trying to ensure what laws are applicable and how they can seek recourse. Thank you, Anjali, for being with us and for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
It was wonderful connecting with you. Thank you for listening to Know Your Kanoon. For more queries and questions, please contact me at contact@corpuslegal.in. Catch Know Your Kanoon every week on the IVM website or the app or anywhere you get your podcast from.
Every week comes a show where three people come together to tell you about stuff they like. A movie, a TV show, a book, and other stuff. Tune in every Monday on the IVM podcast app to IVM Likes. Batman approves this message. Thank you, Batman.
Did you know that Parsis in Mumbai, instead of being left at the Tower of Silence after they die, are now cremated? And why? Because a cow fell sick in the early 1990s. Did you know that the smog in Delhi is caused by something that farmers in Punjab do, and that there's no way to stop them? Did you know that there wasn't one gas tragedy in Bhopal, but 3? One of them was seen, but 2 were unseen. Did you know that many well-intentioned government policies hurt the people they're supposed to help? Why was demonetization a bad idea? How should GST have been implemented? Why are all our politicians so corrupt when not all of them are bad people? I'm Amit Verma, and in my weekly podcast, The Seen and the Unseen, I take a shot at answering all these questions and many more. I aim to go beyond the seen and show you the unseen effects of public policy and private action. I speak to experts on economics, political philosophy, cognitive neuroscience, and constitutional law so that the insights can blow not only my mind, but also yours. The Seen and the Unseen releases every Monday. So do check out the archives and follow the show at seenunseen.in. You can also subscribe to The Seen and the Unseen on whatever podcast app you happen to prefer.